All right, we are on episode 3 of How to Trade the Stock Market. Today we're going to be talking about fair value gaps, and we might even possibly talk about order blocks, depending on how long the video gets, but order blocks might be for tomorrow. But now, so far we've talked about what a candle is, and a swing low and swing high, and if you studied, you probably should have, you know, this probably should have stuck out to you right here, this swing low and this swing high. And now let's come back to this chart over here. Now a fair value gap is 3 candles. So we have 3 candles right here. We section that off. So we have these 3 candles right here. This candle, and this candle. We will mark those as candle number 1, candle number 2, and candle number 3. So the fair value gap is the gap in between price. So this little gap right in here. This is an inefficient area where price comes back to these fair value gaps. We're gonna come back to that at a later point, but this is an imbalance in the market. So a fair value gap is where the bottom, the low of candle number 1 does not touch the top of candle number 3. And then that middle candle, that candle number 2, is the gap. So fair value gap right in here. Now, if you look at these 3 candles, there is no fair value gap because there's no gap between them. So if we take a look at the low right here, we take a look at the low right here on this candle, and the high, they overlap. Make that red and green. So make the low of that candle green, and the low of this candle number 1 green, and the high of this candle number 3 red. So look how the red goes past the green and it overlaps. So there's no gap. Now we have a small gap between these candles. So we'd have a fair value gap right here. Small little gap in there. You have another little gap in here. So you have so that would be a bearish fair value gap with down closed candles. Now it really doesn't matter of whether it's a up closed candle or a down closed candle. You just want to look for the gap. So see, you have a down closed candle with an up close, another up close, these 3 candles. It really doesn't matter. But this is a fair value gap. That little gap right in there. Once again, an area of a market imbalance where the top of candle number 1 does not touch the bottom of candle number 3. So here we have a bullish fair value gap, and right here we have a bearish fair value gap. And these, you'll find them on every time frame. This fair value gap right here. This one right here. See how this candle comes right into that fair value gap? We're going to get to that in a later episode, but it's a little bit of foreshadowing. Now there's no fair value gap with these three candles. There's none here. There's none right here. There's a small one maybe in there, but you have one right here. You have another fair value gap. Now with fair value gaps, like I said, they are bullish and bearish. Bullish meaning long or up. Bearish meaning, down or sells. Now you have and now fair value gaps can also be inverse. So there's one right here, and just extend that over and see how price came into the fair value gap, came down, and then we inversed it. So first I was kind of acting as a resistance level, this fair value gap, because it came up to it and came down, and then it inversed it. Now we're using it kind of as support. So that would be an inverse fair value gap. Now I'm not going to get too ahead of myself. I'm not going to cram too much information in these videos. Right now, just focus on fair value gaps. Just learn what they are. Just identify them. So you have one right here. Okay, so there's a fair value gap in there. I'll find three real quick because these appear every day. It's going to be important. Now you might not know what they're doing right now. Don't worry about that. Just learn how to find them. We'll get to that other stuff in a later video. So we have a fair value gap in here. And another one right in there. Gap in price. The low does not touch the high, forms a gap. The low does not touch the high, forms a gap. Now, let me go off to a random day. Alright, now I want you to find three fair value gaps. Pause the video for a second. And just between these, go right here. Just within this area, try to identify three fair value gaps. Alright, now pause your video and go ahead and try to find those because I'm about to show you exactly where they were if you didn't find them. So, we have one right here. That's one. We have another one right here. And then another one right here. Alright. Well, that's some homework for you tonight. Now, I'm trying to go so slow with these videos so that even your dog can understand how to trade. By the end of this, your dog is going to be trading and your dog is going to have unlimited treats for the rest of his life. Alright? I'm making it as simple, so simple your dog can learn how to trade, okay? Those are your three fair value gaps. We'll go on a little bit more tomorrow on an order block and how to use, maybe how to use fair value gaps. Right now, we're just going to learn what everything is, and then we're going to take all of that layered understanding, put it together, and we'll be able to be forming some trades soon. Don't worry about making money yet. That'll come soon. Just focus on learning. Well, that's it for today.